Hi, it's Leah Richheimer with the Ladies Talk Show. We are in chapter 6, and we are going to change your life today. We are talking about the navigator being in control. I get it. Ladies, we love being in control. It's like candy. It's like, good, that went exactly the way I wanted. That went exactly the way I wanted. All these other things didn't go the way I wanted. So letting go of control, letting it slip through your fingers, giving it to your husband is so empowering. You are going to feel less stress than you ever have in your life. And it's letting go of control and just being, it's not saying you shouldn't work and try and, make things in your life work, but it's saying that when you try to micromanage and control everything in your life, there's a tension. And yes, it means that things won't go exactly your way. But guess what, ladies? Maybe they'll go better. And if you give that control to your husband, for sure they will go better. Okay, let's talk about relinquishing control. We are in chapter 6, page 138 at the top, relinquishing control. So here are the practical ways to accomplish this. The way to start letting go is to notice when you're trying to take control of a situation. It's such an ingrained habit, that it's often very hard to spot at first. But once we start to notice it in ourselves, we see it everywhere. We can even start to view ourselves like overgrown control freaks and get down on ourselves about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like we're control freaks, like, what am I doing? Okay, hold on a second. I lost my, okay, but just recognize we were inadvertently groomed by society to be this way. Beating ourselves up about it is fruitless. Just muster the determination to conquer this bad habit, and Hashem will help you. Hashem wants your husband to have control, as we've been discussing. And the more you let go of it, Hashem's going to help you with this, because as soon as you do, you're going to reap the rewards. You're going to feel the bracha pour into your home. For now, work only on areas of control in your relationship with your husband. Yes, it would be nice to be a little less controlling with our children, but sometimes that is necessary for their education. So that's just too much of a slippery slope. Don't make yourself crazy trying to grow in that area with your kids, where it can often be difficult to know when to be controlling and when to let things unfold naturally. Just stick to working on letting go of control in your relationship with your husband for the foreseeable future. That is enough for now. Just with your husband is what you're working on now. Okay, fine. Begin by trying to catch yourself when you are about to jump in to do things your way or a better way. At that very moment, freeze and recognize that you are attempting to grab the steering wheel out of the hands of the captain of the ship. You are trying to take over his job and shove him aside. It's fine to feel sad about this because it is sad. It may not have been your fault, but it has robbed you of having a husband to look up to and feel protected by. And it may have even impacted your husband to become a resentful, angrier person. God willing, we will repair this over time. Just do your utmost at letting go of control. So what does relinquishing control look like? Does it mean turning ourselves into some kind of automaton that obeys our husbands' every command? Not by a long shot. Our opinions and insights are far too indispensable. Giving up control does in no way mean relinquishing the right to be effective and powerful in this world. Hopefully, you will quickly find, as you practice this at home, that it is far better to have influence than control. Your husband will finally have what he truly needs to feel strong in this world, and you will have your opinions heard with much less stress in your life. Okay, ready? Everybody ready? Yeah, good. Okay, controlling. So I'm giving you examples. These are controlling and influencing. Controlling would be, get over to the right lane. We're going to miss our exit. Influencing is, I think our exit is coming up. Which one would you rather hear? Controlling. How can you knowingly eat cheese that's expired? That's disgusting. Influencing. Are you sure that is safe to eat? Controlling. We have to leave the house by 4 sharp to get to the wedding on time. Influencing. The chuppah starts at 5, so I'm thinking we should head out around 4. What do you think? Controlling. I told the kids to get to bed early already. Please don't undermine me by going into their bedrooms and disrupting our routine. Influencing. I told the kids to get to bed already. Maybe I shouldn't have, since it seems like you'd like to go in there now. The softness. Controlling. You can't just pay for the lost book. The boy who borrowed it from our son is the one who lost it. I'm sure you are not halakhically obligated to pay for it. Ask our rabbi and tell him who is really to blame. Influencing. It is special of you to pay, even though we are probably not obligated. Controlling. You can't pack eggs at the bottom of grocery bag. They'll get cracked. Influencing. I find that when I put the eggs at the bottom of the bag, they usually break. Do you have that problem also? Okay, you get it? It's beautiful. So these are what we're training ourselves in. You don't have to feel like you're doing this instantly, but okay. How a woman makes use of her power. Influence, not control. How a woman makes use of her power can raise her husband up or tear him down. The practical implications are that while it is good to be strong, smart, and wise, we must not wield our strengths like a sledgehammer. A true navigator doesn't need to hit the captain over the head. She uses a gentle approach to get her point across. A navigator knows full well that Hashem granted her the gift of Bina, of having an opinion that is incredibly insightful and valuable. She knows that if she takes that precious gift and uses it to push her husband around, it will backfire. Notice when you are driven to take control and do your best to just let go. The rule of thumb to assist you as you move forward is your goal is influence, not control. This goal brings out the softer, more ameliorating side of us. We become a brilliant navigator who brings out the captain's full glory. An Ezer Kenegdo, a helpmate opposite him, means that at times we take the opposite opinion of his, but only to help the situation, never to win an argument or to be superior to him in any way. Perhaps the first time you notice your controlling behavior, all you can do will be able to muster is to refrain from speaking. As you grow, you can grow into someone who can relinquish control more often. Your man is the captain steering the ship. You may still throw in brilliant ideas and have a profound influence on the outcome, but you won't care so much that you aren't the one to actually make the ultimate decision. In fact, perhaps you'll be glad, much like an employee can feel overwhelming joy when he's off the clock, a feeling of relief that a business owner can't even fathom. So too, you can let go and savor the role of navigator without the stress that comes from having to do it all right. Do it right. It will always be right because you are doing Hashem's will and the decision will be blessed. Once, when I was in Israel, I visited Rebbetzin Leah Kolodetsky. I asked her if she had one message for Shalom Bayis that she could give to people. What would that be? Without hesitation, she looked me right in the eye and said, my father, Reb Chaim Kanievsky, gives over in the name of the Chavetz Chaim that nothing bad will ever happen if you mevater yourself, if you give in. You may not see it directly, but you are mevater. You will always gain. You will never lose. This is the direction towards which Hashem is guiding us, following our husband's will. It may feel antithetical to everything we've been taught. So indoctrinated are we in this area. But as we move more toward the path of letting go, we will begin to feel the Shekhinah more and more in our home, bringing bracha and mazel in countless ways. Okay, ladies, you're up. Let's hear your questions. What you got for me, Gila?
Yeah, okay, great. So the first question is, if I relinquish control and I give it over to my husband, will that make him even more controlling?
That's an excellent question. Actually, it's funny. I get that a lot. Like, no way. So here's the thing. The opposite is true. It's completely counterintuitive. When a man doesn't get the control he desperately needs to feel like a man, to feel like he's successful in the world, to feel like he can go out and conquer the lions out in the world. In order to feel that, right, the wife has to give him control. Now, What happens is if the wife doesn't give him control and is controlling and is trying to manage everything and do everything and make all the decisions, and he doesn't know what he's talking about, and she's trying to prove to him how he doesn't know what he's talking about and bring him lower and lower and lower and lower, right? When a woman has all the control, the man claws for it. He'll put her down. He'll be mean to her. Now, this is, again, mentally healthy people. Everybody's a little not mentally healthy, so don't think like, oh, yeah, well, he's not, I'm talking, there's a fine line. If you don't know, if you have concerns that your husband's controlling and has anger issues that are chronic and debilitating and damaging and poisonous and, whatever. And it definitely needs a professional to be brought in. Okay. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about, pretty normal, healthy human beings. Okay. Yeah, I got this problem and that issue and whatever. Everyone's got their issues. But when that man is not a normal, healthy man is not given the control he needs, he will claw at it and he will do just about everything. It's like a bear trying to get out of a cage, whatever. He'll rip things to shreds. He'll rip you to shreds. He needs the control. And people who, students that I've had that have switched, like been woken up, light bulb. Oh, wow, he needs control. They can't believe how much control they've been stealing with them. Even a little decision. Should I put the fork here or the fork there? Should I, what time do you want to leave? Their husband is made into a lesser person year after year after year until the wife can't even look up to him, but she's created that. Again, I'm not making you a victim and making you feel like, I'm sorry. I'm not, you feel the victim. Women always feel like the victim to their husband needing control. And now I'm saying, oh, it's your fault because you stole his control and he's trying to get it. Okay. So you can feel bad about that, or you can feel empowered. Like, oh, that's how God created the Bria. That's how he created the world, nature. That's how it works, is your husband's given more and more and more control. And the more control he is, the more he bends his ear down to you and says, oh, what do you think we should do? How do you think we should do this? Should we take a left here? Should we leave on time? He'll want your input because you're his azer connecto. He knows that. His soul knows that. And your soul knows that the more control he has, I'm just teaching you what your soul already knows, the more control that your husband has, genuine control, like, you're sitting there deciding which camp to send the kid, and this one's like, they've got bullies there, whatever. And that one you're so sure is right, whatever. But you giving him ultimate control and saying, listen, here's my opinion. These are the reasons I think this camp is better. Here's the problems I have with that camp. And he says, I hear that, but I think we should send there. End of story. At that point, you don't say anything. Now, does that mean that there's going to be no ramifications and there's going to be birds twittering and everything's going to be wonderful? No. That means that the decision is blessed by God himself. So even your son goes to that camp and every day he's bullied, and you're like, see, my husband's so dumb. He thought of that, whatever, he's wrong. I should have fought for it. Maybe you could have presented better information. Maybe you could have done it softer. Maybe if you had spent the last 10 years giving him control and you made your point, he would sway and go over here. But because he's got to fight for control, he has to push for this stupid camp that you don't want him to go to. So for that first week, you've got to bite your tongue, whatever. It is blessed. So if your son, bullying is horrible. I'm not saying that that's the right decision or whatever, but maybe it'll build your son into give him more strength. I don't know what the ramifications are, but whatever you're thinking, you have to let go of the control. You gave your husband, you're doing it. Hashem, you know how much I wanted to go to this camp. And this camp I'm so terrified of. The only reason I did it, Hashem, is to have shalom bayis in my home, to bring the Shekhinah into my home. Please protect my son. Hashem is guaranteed to help you. This is what Chazal teaches. You will be helped. Now, again, over time, this control issue will get better and better because the more control you give him, the more your husband will bend his ear to listen to you. I just want you to be very, very confident in that. Even though you may not see direct goodness at that very moment, we know from Chazal, it's guaranteed that is where the goodness is going to come from.
Right off what you just said, Miriam wrote, I just want to let you know that I've been working on letting go control when my husband disciplines the kids, even when it's hard. And yesterday, when my daughter broke a rule, he turned to me and said, what do you think we should do, Ima? I almost fell off my chair. So it's exactly what you're saying.
Oh, Miriam, good job.
Wow. And then the other questions that are coming up a lot is, a lot of people are saying, what if my husband is so busy making decisions at work? He's the captain, he's the CEO. And by the time he comes home, he wants me to take the reins. Is that okay?
So, yeah, if that's his wish. So the problem is that it's hard to differentiate between the habits, you're married, 11 years or 24 years or 37 years, whatever, that you have these ingrained habits of trying to be in control and trying to, whatever. So it's a little hard to differentiate between whether that's a genuine thing that he wants to do and he wants to just let go or whatever, or whether that's you've groomed him to be that way. So it's a difficult question you're asking because of that. It's hard to differentiate. So let's just say that you have a bad habit and you've done it for all the years. And so now he's just like, yeah, you just decide, because he didn't want to battle. Instead of giving him choices all the time and decisions, which always ends up being a battle, he just like, you decide. That's not really giving him control. That's he's opting out, of battling with you. So if it's that case, then my recommendation very, very strongly is to completely do a 180. Ask him about everything. And, I was going to serve potatoes and then I thought rice. Which do you prefer? And he's like, whichever. He might even be annoyed at you for asking such dumb questions, but really try and put more and more control to train yourself into understanding that these little decisions that you're making and having control, slowly back off of certain decisions. So that's that first case scenario. The other scenario where he really is exhausted and you have and you give him total control in his life, which is, I don't know if I've met a woman who is at that place yet, when they're working, everyone's working towards it. But let's say you've really, really bolstered him and given him control so much in your marriage for a decade. And now he says, I want you to make all decisions when I get home. Then, okay, so fine. He doesn't want to have to worry about anything. I still wouldn't make any big decisions. I wouldn't say, oh, guess what? We're going to in-laws for Pesach. No, say, what do you think? We were offered, the in-laws said they would host us for Pesach. What do you think? Do you want to go or do you want to, like that? But anyway, okay, I think that answers it. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so someone else is saying that they get very frustrated when they ask their husband a question and he spins it right back to them and says, what do you want to do? And she kind of wishes he would take more control.
Mm-hmm. So that's either a personality trait where he just feels like, kind of unworthy. Some husbands have low self-esteem and they don't feel like they're afraid they're going to make the wrong decisions. Or maybe when they were a child, they made the wrong decision so much and their mom was always putting them down and like, no, don't do it that way. So if they had an overly critical parent or something like that. However, the deep thing that's troubling me now is if a man is like that and a woman tries to give him control and then she feels like there's not really a man there, so it makes it very hard for her. So the main thing to understand about building your husband up is not throwing every decision. Like if your husband is like, what do you think? What do you think? And he's always bouncing it back to you and always throwing it back in your face. That could be a, self-esteem issue, or it could be you've battled so much and he's just like, why do I really, really care if we go on vacation here or there? Let me just let her decide because I don't want to battle with this lady. It's just too hard. Whatever the history is right now, in order to fix it, you need to have a very clear goal in mind, which is everything that comes out of your mouth, to watch it for, is it controlling or is it influencing? Is it controlling or is it influencing? And you want to, let's say now you're doing 100% controlling and 0% influencing. You want to kind of shift it. So you got to start with like 5 or 10 or 15% of influencing comments. And you can, don't have this, you don't have to have this like night and day shift. Although I have to tell you, I've gotten reports from women who said, I night and day shifted night and day. And I've been making Pesach for 30 years. And this is the 31st year. It was the best Pesach we ever had because I absolutely let go of control. And now I'm just the influencer. So for you, the main thing to keep in mind is just you're moving on a continuum from being a controlling lady to being an influencing lady. And this is where the goal is. You could reread this chapter 6, to bolster yourself, keep it by your nightstand and just open any page in chapter 6, any of the book, but, in chapter 6 and just keep repeating it, chazara, repetition and review is what's going to bolster you and strengthen you in this. But the good news is you will start to feel the fruits of these labors pretty quickly. God willing. Okay, very good. What you got for me, Gila?
Okay, so Sarah asks, can we influence too much to the point where our husband picks up on it and thinks we're secretly being controlling?
Interesting. It's a big pitfall in terms of being an influencer but the black and white line between, being controlling and then being an influencer, and he thinks secretly we're trying to control him, is letting go. So you are influencing an influencer like a navigator of a ship, right? The navigator doesn't say, let's go to this island. You got to take a left. You got to take a left to go to that island, on a ship. The navigator comes forth and says, here's the map of the ocean. Here's where we are currently. Here's the island where we had planned to go to, if you still think it's a good location to go to. And I'm going to wash the dishes, or I'm going to sit out, have a martini on the deck. Like that's it. Let go. That's it. It's yours. Whatever. And somebody who's using influence but really trying to control. What do you think? What do you think we're going to go to that on? Where are we going to go? What are we going to do? And they never walk away. They never just leave it in his hands. And leaving it in his hands for somebody who's never done it before, very hard. It's kind of like really, like I'm supposed to use duct tape right now. I'm supposed to shut up, right? Like, oh my God, but I don't know what the answer is. What if he doesn't answer me till tomorrow? This letting go is probably the hardest part of this whole thing. But that's where the reward is. And the good news is that the more you just let go, it gets exciting. It's like, okay, here's the problem. Good. See ya. I'm going off to have fun. Like I'm going to paint my nails, whatever it is. So your rewards and the fruits of your labor will really help you a lot. Gila, I think we've got time for one last question.
Okay, so Rivka asks, my husband has a very controlling mom and so is very sensitive to anything that seems like I'm controlling. Even if I use an example of influencing, he still sees it as control. Should I just never say anything?
So that's a great question. So basically the thing is you need to ask him. You need to say, we're living our life together. I know you've got this control issue. I get it. I totally get it. And I want to be like the best wife ever in this thing. I don't want to be this controlling wife. But there's some things I need to bring to your attention, or, we need to have discussions about it. How can I do it in a way that wouldn't make you feel controlled? Do you want me to write, if I have a thought about something, do you want me to write it on a card? Do you want me to text it to you? Do you want me to leave a Post-it note on your mirror? Do you want me to say, start every sentence? Would it be possible if you thought about this idea? What can I do that will make you feel not controlled? And then zip your lip and let him talk. And guess what? He will. 90% of men will start saying, well, I think this. And you have to, sort of entertain it as an idea. Say, let's brainstorm. So if he says, oh, I want you to do it on Post-it notes, say, okay, fantastic. Let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. If I'm leaving the Post-it notes and it makes you angry, or, right now, in theory, it sounds like a great idea. When we start to do it, is it going to actually bother you? So let's give it a try. Using that words, let's give it a try, takes all the pressure off of it and hopefully make him not feel as stressed out by your actually telling him to do something. So the bottom line is, in this scenario, is to try and work with your husband to find out how you can meet his emotional needs. And guess what, ladies? when you are so caring and taking such good care of him and his emotional needs, it's usually instantly reciprocal. So sometimes it isn't, and sometimes you have to wait, and sometimes you can't see it, and sometimes he's giving you emotional support that you can't really feel. He's sweeping the kitchen floor, because he wants to do something for you, and you're like, you could care less, or what? Who would care less? But I'm just saying, whatever. He's trying to do something, and you don't really recognize it as payback for it. But you can just assure yourself that if you are really going out of your way to take care of him, something in every soul will want to reciprocate. So you're doing it because it's the right thing to do, but you're also doing it to get your needs met of being your own emotional needs being taken care of, which is crucial. Okay, this is very good. We've got to run here. I'm giving you homework. The homework is one time this week when you are about to control, right? Switch over and do something that's influencing. Even if you're about to do control and you can't think of what an influencing comment will be, say, oh, I'll be right back. I need to use the facilities. I need to, the pot's boiling over in the oven, just get out of the room. Think about what an influence and then come back. But in one time this week, when you're about to control, influence. Okay, this is Leah Richheimer for the Ladies Talk Show. See you next time.